Narayana. One of the greatest scriptures or maps that we have access to is known as Srimad Bhagavad Gita. For so many people who are of Indian origin, your freedom, our freedom, has come from Bhagavad Gita, because who is guided by Bhagavad Gita? Who is guided by Bhagavad Gita? Yes, and more historically, relating to Bharat, who was guided by Bhagavad Gita? Mahatma Gandhi was guided by Bhagavad Gita. And there have been many, many, many prominent scientists who have also described, when they see creation in action, that this is very depictive of what Bhagavan Krishna taught Prince Arjuna. Today across the world, Gita Jayanti is being celebrated. Today is the day that Bhagavan Krishna taught Prince Arjuna Bhagavad Gita. And for all of us in an immediate sense, I had asked Swami Tejomayananda, what is your favorite scripture to teach? And he said Bhagavad Gita. And I've heard numerous times that this was Swami Chinmayananda's favorite map to share also. Swami Tejomayananda learned this from Swami Chinmayananda, and Swami Chinmayananda learned this from Swami Tapovana. Today is also Tapovana Jayanti, the day that the form and name that is Swami Tapovana came into being. This reminds me strongly of, all of you have to see this visualization, okay? I've shared it before. Try to tune into this. The closest to us is Brahman. What is the English word for Brahman? Infinity. We are out of sync with Brahman. So Brahman, out of love, expresses as Bhagwan. Brahman has no form and name, so Brahman takes on a form and name, and we start to call Brahman Bhagwan, like Bhagavan Krishna, like Devi Lakshmi. Now we are out of sync with Bhagwan too. So Bhagwan takes on a further form and name, and this is called Shastra. The actual words that are documented, like Ramayana, like Bhagavad Gita, that is known as Shastra. Now we are out of tune with the Shastra also. We love to chant, but what we're chanting, we're not clear about. So the Shastra, out of love, takes on more of a form and name, and that is called our Sadguru, our Guru Shishya Parampara. Brahman expresses as, what's next? Bhagwan. Expresses as Shastra. Expresses as the Guru Shishya Parampara, our Sadguru. That's right. And the fifth factor is us. We're the farthest away from us. But that's what the Guru Shishya Parampara, that's what the Shastra is trying to guide us, is to Brahman, guiding us to us. So today is a very auspicious day, a very meaningful day. And before we begin Bhagavatam formally, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chant the Gita Dhyana Shlokas. Some of you know this, some of you have access to this. The Gita Dhyana Shlokas are not part of Bhagavad Gita, are not. Bhagavad Gita is 700 shlokas. These shlokas are not part of it, but they are like a way to quieten the mind so that we're ready for Bhagavad Gita. They're like previews before a movie. The previews get you ready for that movie. So as I chant, here's what I want you to do. If you know how to chant, chant with me. If you don't know how to chant, concentrate. Try to concentrate on every word, on the rhythm. If concentrating is hard, feel grateful for the Shastra and Guru Shishya Parampara, what this has done to you and to your life. Ready? Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvamanusandadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamayah Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Geetamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dogdham Geetamritam Mahat Vasude Vasutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jaya Dhritajala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavairananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharyavacha Saroja Mamalam Geetartha Gandhotkatam Nanakyanaka Kesaram Harikata Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadera Haraha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamshinas Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramो Panishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Na Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan Ki Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Us chanting for a few minutes is not enough. All day today, again, remember, one message from Bhagavad Gita. Remember one sacrifice from the Guru Shishya Parampara. And be grateful for that message. Be grateful for that sacrifice. Try to share the same. We will now begin Bhagavatam. formally. Yatin, checking in with you again. Ready? Okay, I'm on a hot spot, so if there's any breakage, let me know. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshva bhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparerishwaraha Sadyo Hridyavarudya Tetra Kritibihi Shushrushrubhistachana. Hari Om and greetings from Cleveland. Half of 2016, all of 2017, and all of 2018, we immersed ourselves in Vedanta in Ramayana. All of 2019, we have been immersing ourselves in Vedanta in Bhagavata. If you've been following along carefully, where has Ramayana been taught? Where has the Vedanta been taught? Ramayana, Vedanta has all been flowing in satsang. All of the different satsangs in Ramayana between Jatayu and Bhagavan Rama, between Shri Vibhishana and Hanumanji. In Bhagavatam, Rishi Maitreya and Rishi Vidura, Raja Parikshita, Shri Shuka. Satsang is a strange catalyst that causes us attachment but leads us to detachment. And I'll explain more simply. A common teaching and message of Swami Chinmaya was attach to detach. When you attach to the higher, you have to detach to the lower. When we attach ourselves to satsanga, satsanga makes us independent. Kumati nivara, sumati ke sangi. Really, it should be sumati ke sangi, kumati nivara. When I'm in satsang, then I'm out of kumati. As we complete 2019, as we commence the 5th skanda, how many of you feel that you project less? By show of hands, you project likes and dislikes less. You project judgment less. By show of hands. Some in Cleveland, fewer in Fairfield, none in Niagara. The fourth skanda of Bhagavatam has 31 chapters that focus on Visarga. Visarga is really about that aspect of creation that is human-oriented. This is about us. The third skanda has 33 chapters focusing on Sarga. Sarga of what humans use, where we come from. So the elements, fundamental creation. The second skanda has 10 chapters on, what was the focus of the second skanda? Sadhana. How to evolve, how to be happier. And the first skanda has 19 chapters, and the focus was adhikari, or you. Thinking more closely about this, Visarga is God. Sarga is God. Sadhana is God. And who should be doing all this? You. So the first chapter highlights you, and then every skanda after that is Bhagwan. You should be one with God. You should be connected to God. And these are different ways to look and follow being with God. We completed the fourth skanda with a story about Puranjana. And Puranjana was someone who wasted time. Our high school students in Cleveland are sitting with me right now. And I've asked them before, what is one of the biggest complaints that your parents have of you? That you procrastinate. Yes, parents? That's one. I said one of the biggest complaints. They're all big complaints. But one is procrastination. We are habitual procrastinators, no? Instead of going to the gym in the morning, when do we go? We procrastinate to the evening, but then there's many reasons not to go to the gym. Like it's snowing outside. I shouldn't go. It's sunny outside. I shouldn't go. Yesterday, we had a kids camp in Buffalo, and one of the boys was sharing his greatest weakness is that he doesn't do enough chores at home. He always tells his parents, I'll do it later. And it makes him sad and it makes his parents sad. So much honesty and detail. It was not general at all. He said it so clearly. And then I asked him, how are you going to substitute that? And he said, I'm not going to tell them to wait to do the chores. I'm going to do them when I'm asked to do them. And his mother was sitting in the class. I said, you're welcome. So Puranjana really shows us how much we procrastinate, especially when it comes to purpose and enlightenment. And for those who connected to the Happiness Series 3, if you were to ask me one of the messages I learned most from this workshop, I should live my life based on the lowest life expectancy in the world. Do you remember what country has the lowest life expectancy? Sierra Leone. And what was the number? 44. That's right. I should live my life like I'm only going to live until 44. And if I know that, I'm going to greatly reprioritize my life, correct? We keep living like we are going to have the highest life expectancy, like we live in Singapore and we're going to be 76. But there's no assurance of that. Okay? So extract that message. And the whole skanda was completed with Puranjana's kids. What was Puranjana's 10 kids' names? Prachetas, 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 Prachetas. They were collectively known as Prachetas. And these kids, they loved Bhagwan. And they never wanted to leave Bhagwan. And Bhagwan told them, go and share your feeling. Get married, have kids, be householders. That doesn't impede you from loving me. you should be religious. And as I shared with all of you, those who are religious, they experience the most happiness. Introducing the fifth skanda. This skanda is called or focused on sthana. Sthana means established, like stapayitva, like asta. Sthana, in a scientific sense, this skanda focuses on the surface of creation. The mountains, the lands, the oceans. So it focuses on the geography of creation. At a sociological level, it's how do humans live? In other words, how do we eat? Where are our homes? You know, those details are highlighted. And as I shared with you earlier, the first skanda is about you, and all of the remaining 11 skandhas are about God. So what is the foundation? What is the home? How do we live? Bhagwan. There are 26 chapters in this skanda. And today I'm only going to read one shloka. And this shloka shows the origins of Jainism. Interesting. So all of you who are Jains, who know Jains, the origin of all of that is shared. That's why I'm going to dedicate the whole class to this. It's very interesting. I'm on the 4th adhyaya. It's the 4th chapter. And I'm reading the 2nd shloka. This skanda is not totally in poetry. A lot of it is prose. Okay, so it's different than the meters you're used to. Because you've been following along with every shloka I've been sharing, yes? You've been recording it and memorizing it, yes? Tasya ha va ittam varshmana variyasa brhat chalokena chaujasa balena shriya yashasa virya shauryaabhyam cha pita rishabha itidam nama chakara. His father named him Rishabha. And Rishabha means the best. Rishabha is sometimes known as a bull. Like Prince Arjuna is known as Rishabha. And why is he the best? These are various qualities that are shared. He's courageous, he's virtuous, he is influential. Okay. How did we get here? Okay. Family tree, okay? This is the original ancestry.com. You're included in this too, okay? You're just at the bottom. Bhagwan Brahma, his child was Manu. Manu had a child, his name was Priyavrata. Okay, 3 generations there. Priyavrata did not want to get married. He did not want to have kids. He did not want to be a householder. He simply wanted to be married to Bhagwan. But leadership was lacking in creation. So Bhagwan Brahma came with Manu and educated, inspired Priyavrata that you should get married, you should have a family, and the way you love Bhagwan, you should see all of the people around you in the same way. You should love Bhagwan not just in a controlled environment, but in a uncontrolled environment. To see Bhagwan as a person, as an animal, as a tree. And he did this. He was a solid leader. And one of the primary messages in a lot of chapters about how Priyavrata ruled, he always remembered that everything that was going to come into his life was going to leave his life. He felt that everything that was going to come is going to be like a rotting carcass. That's a very strong remembrance, yes? Have you ever poured milk into your cereal or tea and the milk is bad? How does that smell? How does it look? Do you still eat that cereal? Do you still drink that? Some people do, but we're generally privileged. So, we throw that out and then we have fresh milk. Yes? Now, you don't keep that bowl of cereal and curdled milk, right? You don't keep it in your closet. Maybe later it'll bring me happiness. He felt every article, every being, every circumstance was like a rotting carcass. When a carcass starts to rot, does it ever go back? It just keeps on rotting. So there was never attachment. There was never a projection that this will bring me happiness. So he and his wife, her name was Barhishmati, they lived like this. And for all of you who connected to the Happiness Series 3, what was the short-term secret for cultivating vision in competition? It was simplify, right? That was for every day. Simplify lifestyle choices. Simplify the articles, beings, and circumstances you have in your life, and you will never be dependent. Okay. Priyavrata had a son, and his name was Agnidra, and he was married to Purvachitti. You don't need to know all of these names. Just kind of trace the generations in your mind. Purvachitti was an Apsara. There's a whole chapter on how she seduced Agnidra. The way she walked, what perfume she wore. You see those commercials about Lancome. I don't know how to pronounce it or not. And, someone's seduced by another person. That's all from Bhagavata. It would blow your mind to see the level of details that are given about the sound of her anklets as she was walking around and how Agnidra just wanted to marry her. So he did. They both got married, and one of their kids' names is Nabhi. And Nabhi married Meru Devi. There's a point to what I'm sharing. Okay, so just keep flowing with me. They were unable to have children. And it's too bad for us. When we're unable to do something, we try everything before we ask Bhagwan, correct? We ask the world before we pray. But in their case, they organized a yajna with the intention of having a child. And in this yajna, they were offering this material and chanting this mantra. And Bhagwan came. Bhagwan Vishnu came. And he was sharing with them, I don't care about your materials and I don't care about your mantras. I only care about you because you're my children. So he didn't come because of the professionalism of the yajna. He came because of the sincerity. And all of a sudden, that changes how we approach our relationship with Bhagwan because we feel it has to be very professional. When in actuality, it simply has to be personal. That's why I was just being sarcastic. If you don't know how to chant this Sanskrit, so what? As long as you feel that each skanda is Bhagwan, then you're in tune with Bhagavata. The people who are facilitating this yajna, when Bhagwan came, said, our first prayer to you is, may we always remember your name. And it's described, may we remember your name when we're sick. May we remember your name when we're poor. We only hear that in Christian wedding ceremonies, isn't it? Let us be together in sickness and in health, in prosperity and poorness. And when we're not well, the first thing to go in our lives is japa. The first thing in our lives to go is waking up early, isn't it? I'm sick, I should sleep more. Why not? I'm sick, I should get up earlier and not be sick while I'm sleeping, Read more, write more. So Let us remember your name also, always. Their second prayer was pardon. Please pardon us for wasting your time, that we arranged this whole yajna just for us to have a kid. And that is a strong message that shows us the only purpose, again, is not to be married and have kids and be an entrepreneur, but it is Bhagwan. And they even give an example. Imagine a poor person went to the king, went to the person who has access to all resources, and what did they ask for? The covering of wheat. Is that called a chaff or a chafe? Okay, that's why I use the word covering, and I was hoping you knew, but you also don't know. So instead of asking for the wheat, you just ask for the covering of wheat. It's like me asking, can I have the yogurt container and not the yogurt? Right? That's not going to help me with me being healthy or full, but that's what we do. That's why we go to Bhagwan. So in their prayers, they, Nabhi and Meru Devi asked for a child that is equal to Bhagwan. So tell me, who's equal to God? Who's equal to infinity? And Bhagwan says, there's no one equal to me, which really means I have to come as your child. I really like that prayer. I feel this is what our prayers should be. We should start praying that may Bhagwan come as my child. May Bhagwan come as my manager. May Bhagwan come as my Uber driver. Right? It should be Bhagwan and then you fill in the blank. May Bhagwan serve me at a restaurant. We're always, may the server be like Bhagwan. It should be the other way around. And Bhagwan then shared, I will come as your child. And Bhagwan was born in Meru Devi's womb as pure sattva. Pure sattva. And this pure sattvic form was known as Rishabha. Bolo Rishabha Deva ki jai. When this boy was born, he was born looking like Bhagwan Vishnu. On the soles of his feet, there was a Sudarshan Chakra. There was the lotus. All of that was identified. He looked like Bhagwan. And Rishabha Deva was born in a time when people were hardcore ritualists. In the name of the Veda, what were they focusing on? Only the Karma Kanda and not the Jnana Kanda. I almost feel like the time we're living in is like that too. Hardcore ritualists. And so what he did, he went to a Gurukula where they taught the Veda, and then he became a Grahastha. He got married, had a family, and he showed people how to live the Veda, not just in namesake. Not just in namesake. So he lived like this, and he was so dynamic, so virtuous, that his parents made him the king. And when he was the king, India, which we now know, was known as Ajanabha Varsha. Ajanabha, okay? Everyone heard that? Ajanabha. And you'll know where I'm going with this. The purpose of Rishabha Deva's avatara, he is a Jnana avatara. He was born to show us what enlightenment looks like, feels like. And Swami Tejamayana shared with us, he was born to show Rajasic people what disciplines they should follow. So who are the Rajasic people? Everyone that's not him. We're all thinking, I'm also pure sattva. I'm like Rishabha Deva. The idea is that these are the practices we should follow. And I'm going to tell you much more next week. But here are some of his practices. He always kept a stone in his mouth. I should make that your raw for this week. that you have to keep a stone in your mouth. Vyasa already does it. So he keeps multiple stones in his mouth, and plastic and wood, leaves. So he always kept a stone in his mouth because it encouraged him to talk less. Imagine you have a seed in your mouth, it's harder to talk, correct? It's harder to eat then. He never overate. He would have to chew so much before that food actually went in, right? He'd bite on that stone if he overate. So he kept a stone in his mouth. Everything he put in his body, specifically food and drink, was so natural that even his excretions were fragrant. That is also your raw. That you no longer need a bathroom freshener. But imagine the level of detail that there was no such thing as fast food for him. Everything was natural and not processed. He was so amazing. When he was getting older, he didn't want to burden anyone with his death, so he burned his own body. He burned his own body because he didn't want to burden anyone with that. I met with a scientist in Calgary, and she's doing her research on the most efficient type of burials, or cremation. Let's call it cremation. And she was telling me the most efficient form of disposing the body is called the green burial, where you dig a random spot of land. Okay, imagine not your backyard, but some field. And you're placed in there with no markings. Because it's really like, and I'll try to make this not too heavy, it's really like composting, isn't it? It's the most direct way. If I put a plastic tag in compost, it's going to take a long time and it will ruin everything around it. When I put a marking, suppose wood or stone, it requires a lot to create that wood and stone. So you just bury yourself. That is not your raw. It's simply to reflect on that. So see the genesis of all this. That's what Rishabhadeva did. That's how he lived. He eventually was married to Jayanti. And they had many kids, and their first kid was known as Bharata. And Ajanabha Varsha became known as Bharata Varsha. From Rishabhadeva's eldest son, he was even as if greater than Rishabhadeva. He was such an awesome leader that our whole land became known as Bharata Varsha. That's what I was trying to get to today. So much history too. And now just to give you some foreshadowing, one of the most Vedantic parts of Srimad Bhagavatam will come after Bhagavan Krishna leaves his body. This will put us at the 11th skanda. So maybe in 2021, maybe 2022. I'll remind you 3 years from now that I talked about this. There's a lovely dialogue known or revolving around the Navayogis. The Navayogis. These yogis were the son of Rishabhadeva. Okay? The word Jaina comes from the base Jinna. Jinna means conquer. Those who have conquered themselves are the real conquerors. And Rishabhadeva is treated as a Tirthankara, one of the gods, one of the role models in Jainism, because he had conquered himself. And those who follow Jinna, the Jinna Bhava, are Jainas, and that means all of the disciplines that I have enumerated and will enumerate. And that's why you'll see many Jain Munis will have a piece of cloth or paper over their mouth. It's like keeping that stone in your mouth, but better for your teeth. Because you can't talk as much, you can't eat as much, and on and on and on. Okay? Oh.